ClassWork 1-1 Part A. If you have not tried problems 1 and 2, try those first, pause the video, and now come back. Let's look at the answers, see if you got it right. So here you go with the answers to problem number 1. If you understood them, fast forward. And if you didn't understand, let's take a quick look. So what you want to see is this is telling you the x-coordinate that you're plugging into the function that is creating this graph. If the x-coordinate is -2, then you want to look at where is that located as a y, what is the y-coordinate on that curve, -8. If you plug 0 in, then follow this blue line down and you can see y-coordinate is -4. For 3, x equals 3, y-coordinate is 2. Now for this next part, I'm going to put that in red. F of x equaling 6 is really just when y is equal to 6. So you can draw a horizontal line like this and see where it intersects the graph. And this time find the x-coordinate. So you're going backward and finding x equals 5. You could have also used the equation and looked at the expression 2x minus 4, plug in these numbers, and you will get the y values. If you are trying to figure out how to use the equation for this piece, set it equal to 6 and solve that equation for x, and you will get this. All right, answers for number 2. Take a good look. Did you get those correct? If so, fast forward. If not, stick around. So x equals -4. I'm going to change to the blue color. When x is equal to -4, what is the y-coordinate on the line? It is -2. When x is equal to 1, follow this blue line. The curve says y equals 3. When x is -3, find the curve. -5 is the y-coordinate. Now, when you need to find the values of x when the function is equal to 2, then what you're going to do is draw an entire horizontal line for that y value. So for x equals -2, that is drawing this line right here. And you can see that it actually crosses the graph twice. You get 2 values out, and that would be when x is -4 and when x is equal to 0. Then for the values of x when f of x equals -6, draw that horizontal line. You are touching the vertex of this parabola, so it only crosses once. You get only one x-coordinate. And if you draw the horizontal line -8, you find it does not cross the graph, so you have no solution. All right, now solving equations. Everybody make sure you come back. Now, you should be familiar with PEMDAS, but I'm going to stick you with PERMDAS. Order of operations are first parentheses, then the duo of exponents and roots because those are opposite operations. Next comes the duo of multiplication and division, also opposite operation, and then the duo of addition subtraction, again, opposite operations. Now, if you're just plugging a number into x and simplifying, you go through proper order of operations. But when you're solving equations, you're actually doing the reverse order of operations with the opposite operation. So, one more thing. If you have both addition and subtraction in one line, or any of these, it is left to right that you always move. So You can try out these problems on your own. So you can pause the video and come back and see how you did. And now you come back. Example 3. When I look at this equation, I notice that x is located in only one place. I need to undo the operations on only the left side of this equal sign. So subtraction, not in a parentheses, is the weakest operation. Add 5. Then the multiplication by 2 is the weakest operation between parentheses and exponent. So divide by 2. Now, very important, everybody, come here, pause. Very important. When you take a square root, you have to do a plus or minus. We are going to discuss this in more detail later on in the course. Perhaps you have made this mistake numerous times on tests, and it's just a painful thing to remember. So the square was that weakest operation, so we undo it with a square root, but we have to put a plus or minus anytime we do any even root. And then that creates 2 equations, and you shouldn't have any problem finishing those up. If you do, read over the work, and that takes you to this answer. Now, if you have not yet tried example 4, pause the video. Now that you have done example 4, make sure you understand. Everybody, stop, pause, listen. There is always an understood parentheses every time you see a root sign. People make silly minor mistakes because they don't recognize where parentheses are as an understood issue instead of like, hey, let's put parentheses every time we see a square root. So when you look at this expression with a single x on one side of the equation, weakest operation is division by 3. So you're going to multiply both sides by 3. Then understood parentheses, that subtraction is not the weakest operation because it's in the parentheses. So undo by squaring both sides. Everybody, pause, listen. Very important. Earlier, we took a square root of both sides. You had to put a plus or minus sign because when you take a square root of both sides, you could potentially lose a solution that actually was there. When you square both sides of an equation, the opposite issue could happen. You might gain a solution that was not supposed to be there, and we call those extraneous solutions. So you need to know that if you square root both sides of the equations, you need that plus or minus. But if you square both sides of the equation, you need to double check your work by plugging in the answer you get into the original equation and see if it comes up true. And if it does, then you're good to go. We will be discussing in more detail the issues with the square and the square root. Until then, that's the end of part 1, and I'll see you on part 2.